All right, how about now? Do you hear my voice now? It helps, of course, if I turn on my uh, microphone. It's difficult to transmit sound without the microphone on, of course. A lot of technical components to a live class like this. Of course, one of them is a big screen TV in the background where I can see your comments and questions. So please participate in the class, ask lots of questions, make lots of comments, keep it clean, make it enjoyable for everyone. Let's get right into the class. So, IELTS academic reading strategy for today, second class. The first one was general reading strategy. Of course, reading for the general and the academic are similar for at least one passage, as I explained in the first class today. So in the general IELTS, if you're studying for general IELTS, you will see one passage in section 3 that will look very, very similar to the academic IELTS passages. So even if you're studying for the general IELTS, it is really good to take part in this class so that you can learn the format and strategy for section 3 of the general IELTS. But of course, today's second class, we focus on the academic IELTS. So the material I'm using for today's class is coming from our website at aehelp.com. This is what our academic IELTS website looks like. For those of you who have our website or our software, you log in at the top, of course. If you're new, you can join the class here for the full course, or you can try the demo version for free by clicking on that green button. I'm just going to log myself in my own account here, and then you have lots and lots of materials on the website, including a full course with all of the different strategies for the listening, reading, writing, speaking sections. You have 40 high-definition lesson videos there. And then, of course, you have audio CDs in your fourth tab here, or sorry, in the fifth one. For those of you who have the material, you download test book 2 from here, and we're looking at test book 2, page number 60. So today's academic IELTS reading passage will be about mirages, the topic. You have a beautiful picture that helps you to understand and predict the passage. This is a passage 3 for academic IELTS, so it is the more difficult passage in the reading section. Of course, IELTS is a graded exam, so that means that when you're in the reading section, usually passage 1 is the easiest, passage 2 is more difficult, and then passage 3 is the most difficult. Now, of course, that's not always true because it depends on you as well, and if you are very familiar with mirages. For example, you come from one of the hotter places in the world like Saudi Arabia, where you have lots of deserts, or in some parts of Africa, and this picture would look very familiar to you, and perhaps you already have a lot of information about mirages that you've learned while growing up and visiting the desert. So again, page 60 in your test book 2 for academic IELTS, for those of you who have the materials from aehelp.com. All right, let's just throw up those websites real quick for the newcomers. So again, for academic IELTS, visit us at aehelp.com when you have a chance. Check it out. Again, you can try it for free. If you like it, definitely sign up for the full course and use the materials from there to follow classes and get lots of help to get band 7 or more on your IELTS exam. Again, remember, IELTS is a very expensive test. It's close to $300 US, so it's a good idea to spend a couple dollars and really maximize your learning. Again, a lot of students try to study for IELTS for free. They think, hey, I'm spending so much money on the exam, $300, why should I pay for IELTS classes and materials? Well, you should, because those are much better structured materials that actually are more effective for your learning. And a lot of free IELTS materials out there, by the way, and this is really not to make a sale, but I just want to caution you that there are a lot of IELTS materials generated by people who are really not familiar with IELTS, and they create materials that are not exactly the same as the real test, and that can get you into trouble. So, so careful about that, everyone, okay? Hi, Sai Baba. Hi, Mohammed. Hi, Priyanka. What a wonderful name. All right, so writing task 2, Priyanka, will be tomorrow's first class. So if you're interested in the writing, definitely you can always check out the videos that we have about writing on our YouTube channel. For those of you who are new to the channel, please do subscribe to our YouTube channel. We have 200 videos covering all parts of IELTS there for you, and you can also learn what time these live streaming classes are. You're very welcome, Mohammed, for these live sessions, and thank you everyone for joining, okay? So again, you can use the coupon code from these live streaming classes, LIVE20, L-I-V-E 20. You can get a 20% discount on those courses at aehelp.com, glshelp.com. For those of you who have it in your countries, for the chat, Super Chat is a great function. If you have something important to ask or say, use that, and that's the little $ beside the emoji. And if you're interested in some practice speaking interview with me or another English professional, IELTS expert, please just send me an email at adrian@aehelp.com, and I will tell you how we can set that up. That's my name, of course, Adrian, and I'm broadcasting to you today live from beautiful Budapest, Hungary. It's a little bit cloudy here today, but definitely in springtime now, and the weather is warming up. Of course, for those of you who are having trouble with writing, there's writing and editing help on our websites also. Awesome. So, again, Priyanka, writing module, check out the website, check out the YouTube channel, and tune in tomorrow. I will be tackling task 2 example with some strategy then. Hi, Marina. Nice to see you again, joining us from beautiful Russia. All right. So let's get right into it. A little bit of quick review from the first class today. Again, the way I try to do these classes is the first class on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday is a little bit easier, slower pace with a little bit more explanation. And then the second class that I do on Friday, Saturday, Sunday will be a little bit faster paced, a little bit more intense. I generally will pick a little bit of a tougher topic, so keep that in mind. And then, of course, we have a class on Wednesday and Thursday as well, just one class on those days. Classes are noon Central European time, and for Friday, Saturday, Sunday, the second class is from 3 p.m. Central European time, Budapest. All right, some important strategies for the reading section. Step number 1, this is what you need to do when you're in the actual test. So again, one point that I want to make here is there are certain steps you need to do at home when you study for IELTS before the exam, when you're preparing for the exam. Again, on our websites, we show you that very clearly, what you need to do before the exam and what you have to do during the exam. Don't confuse those 2 points, okay? There are certain kinds of strategies like power reading, which teaches you how to read faster with a higher level of comprehension, that you need to practice before sitting the IELTS exam. And then, of course, there are strategies that you need to use during the exam. So keep those clearly separate, learn them both, and make sure to practice both of them. Again, ideally, you're starting your studies for the IELTS about 60 to 90 days before you sit the real test. Okay, so reading strategy during the test. Okay, so this is what you do while you're actually sitting in the official test. You just finished the listening section, okay? So you're done with your listening section. The listening section was 1 hour. The listening part took 50 minutes. It's roughly 45 to 50 minutes for the listening part. Then you have 10 minutes to take your answers from the booklet and put them into your answer sheet. In that time, you also want to take a couple of nice deep breaths, let go, and now you are getting into the reading section. So you open up the reading section of your exam. You're staying focused, you're staying calm, and you remember these steps. Just a review from the first class. So step number 1, you read all of the titles, okay? So in the academic, you have 3 passages, and you read each of those titles, okay? Now, you pick whichever one you think is the easiest for you. Keep in mind that usually the first passage is the easiest passage, okay? But if you're more familiar with one of the other topics, maybe you might want to start with that. So read all the titles, choose the easiest one to start with. Then for step number 2, read the title again for the one that you chose and visualize it, picture it, and collect all of the information and make predictions. So try to think about what is this passage going to discuss. What will it be about? What do I know about this? Don't make up information, okay? So make sure that it's information that is something that you really know. So if it's a story that your grandmother told you that people believed 200 years ago, you might want to be careful because that might not be on the exam. So keep your information current. For academic IELTS, you definitely want to do a little bit of reading on science topics like biology, physics, sociology, so on. All right, let's look at our topic today. So our topic today is mirages, okay? And you have a picture, okay? Now, some of you already asked, what is a mirage, right? So the IELTS people know that mirage is not a common word that people are familiar with in English. By the look of it, it probably originates from French. So the IELTS people are not mean. They don't want you to fail the test, okay? Contrary to popular belief that many students think that the IELTS people are evil and their goal in life is to go, you're going to fail the IELTS exam and I'm going to ask you the most difficult questions in the world. You'll never pass. You'll never go to school. Ha ha ha. No, that's a misconception. Just like it's a misconception that IELTS is about money. Of course, there's money involved. It's a huge industry, a lot of professionals working together. But the goal of IELTS is not to make a ton of money. The goal of IELTS is not to be some evil organization that makes your life difficult. The goal of IELTS is simply to standardize the testing of English in the world and have a fair assessment of people. Thank you so much, Maria, for that Super Chat donation. I really appreciate that. Thank you for using Super Chat. We take that money and we use it for things like better camera lenses, better screens, and so on, so we improve the quality of your learning. I appreciate that. Thank you. To show you that IELTS is not evil, they usually do what you see here in our test book. So when they have a topic that they know is a little bit more difficult or less commonly known, they'll add a picture. And that picture is usually a definition of that topic, okay? So if you don't know the word mirages, you should be able to figure out what it means by looking at this picture. Does anybody know what mirages means, or can somebody guess what the word mirage means just by looking at this picture? Raya says it's an optical illusion because of thirst. Careful, it's almost correct. The first part is correct. It's an illusion. Okay, so you're saying, hey, mirages is some kind of an illusion. All right. Fighter jets also give off mirages. Absolutely. So let's have a gander here at this. So you're saying that a mirage is an illusion. Okay, now don't forget your critical thinking. Critical thinking allows you to go deeper down that rabbit hole of thoughts and ideas to give you more and more information. So when you think, okay, I have some idea here, then start to think critically about it. So Prabesh says it is due to light, and that's correct as well. But before we even think about mirages as light, let me ask you this. What is an illusion? So if you say, hey, a mirage, it's an illusion. Before you start dissecting it, before you start thinking about the science of it, which is good, you should do that, think about what is an illusion. So some of you correctly said a mirage is a type of illusion, right? What is an illusion? Keep it simple, okay? It is a thought, but you want to be simple. Simple is beautiful, by the way, and oftentimes on IELTS, thinking in a simple way is the best way. Now, that's not easy. Don't confuse simple thinking with easy thinking. Simple thinking can be difficult. You have to train yourself to think simple. Okay, so Maria says, what you are believing is not what you're actually seeing. That's true. That is an illusion. So what you think you see is not actually there. Okay? So how do we perceive an illusion? Remember your 5 senses. We have hearing, we have touch, we have taste, we have smell, and what's the 5th one? What's our 5th sense as a human? And arguably, again, our most powerful sense that we should always keep in mind. Sight. Thank you, Utsav and Andrea. Absolutely. So let me ask you again, what is an illusion? Humor is probably our 7th sense, Maria. Our 6th one is feeling spirits. So what is an illusion? If you think about sight, can you give me a better definition of the word mirage and illusion? It's not, well, it is a form of delusion, Utsav, but you got to be careful. That's it's a little bit off. You're very welcome, Zeus. Yeah, so Andrea says you are seeing something that is not real, or you can say something like, the eyes and brain are creating information that is false. Okay? So the eyes and the brain are creating information that is false. In a mirage, what is that false information? Okay? For a difficult topic like this one, you have to collect all these ideas before you begin reading. Otherwise, it's very easy to get lost. Hi, Safa. Nice to see you in class. Okay, Raya says seeing water. Okay? So seeing water. Now, is the water actually there? No, it's not, obviously. You don't need to answer that. I'm sure all of you realize that. So seeing water or glare. So okay, so we're using our critical thinking here, right? We're going, what is it? Why is it? We just answered basically the why question, right? So this is the what. And you have to apply critical thinking to these titles, especially the difficult ones. Okay. This is the why, obviously. Now we can get to the how. Okay. So how does that work? How does a mirage work? Anybody know? So how does that happen? So we know what it is. It's an illusion. We're seeing something that's not actually there. Why? Because the eyes and the brains are creating information that's false. We're seeing water or glare that is not truly there. And how does that happen? Okay, Maria says it's because of some reflective angles. Okay. It's caused due to a refraction. That's right. Nice vocabulary there, by the way. And for those of you who are joining in, if you don't know some of this vocabulary, like Utsav just used the word refraction, write it down. Look it up after. Make sure that you learn these key pieces of vocabulary because you could see them in your reading on your next IELTS, or you could hear them, okay? Refraction is a word that you could see in many different topics about light, for example. So okay, so remember, a good piece of information for critical thinking is to look at both sides of the coin, okay? So when you're training your critical thinking and your logical thinking, look at both sides of the coin. So right now, what I'm seeing is most people are thinking of the technical aspect of the physics behind mirages, like refraction. Marina, you're thinking people are dehydrated and they see what they want, but that's actually a delusion. That's not truly a mirage, okay? That's a misconception. You'll see that in a minute. So that's where you want to be careful with the information that you know. So it's heat and light. So due to heat and light. Okay, so you're saying that it's refractive angles, it's reflective angles, it's due to heat and light in the atmosphere. Right? Okay, that's one side of the coin. Okay, so you're looking at one side of the coin. What's the other side of the coin? If I say to you, think about the other side of the coin of why mirages happen, then what is the other side? So what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to train your brain to think quickly and to not only think of specifics and global ideas, but also be dynamic by looking at different angles when you're thinking about ideas. Okay? So one side of it is the physics behind it that you nicely described for me. What's the other side of that coin? Remember, a lot of you here said that a mirage is seeing water. Okay? Why is it water? Why are we seeing water? So this is the other side of the coin. Yeah, Khan, very good. Nice. You caught it. Okay, so you got the other side of the coin. It's psychological, right? The brain creates it. It's the biological aspect. So don't forget that we're human. Okay, humans are perceiving the world from their own biology, from their own position, from what exists in their brain, all right? That's why we're not able to see like a bee, for example, which can see infrared colors, right? Without the use of technology, of course. So we are trapped by our biological senses, our abilities, our brain, which is, by the way, a beautifully big trap. It's able to do a lot. So see the other side of the coin, which is psychological. So why water? Why do we see water? Okay, so I'm going really far down this rabbit hole, and then we will get into the reading here. But again, my goal here is really to teach you how to fish and not just give you fish for IELTS. So I want you to be able to fish your own fish. Why do we see water? Why do people see water? So Hike says because it's boiling hot. Not necessarily. And Khan, it's not necessarily because you're in the desert. You could see a mirage on a highway. Okay, sometimes maybe some of you are driving a car and it looks like on a hot day that on the highway there's water there. You drank enough water, you're not thirsty, you have a bottle of Sprite in your car as you're driving along, so you're not thirsty. Why do you see water? Why do you not see something else? Maybe you don't need it. That's what I'm telling you, is you don't need it. You're not thirsty, okay? You'll still see the mirage even if you're not thirsty. So again, use your critical thinking. Why would you see water and not something different? Okay, I'll give you this one, but again, believe me when I say it, that the more you practice this kind of thinking, you'll be able to, yeah, why don't you see, very good, actually, that's funny, but it's a very good point, Sudarshan Pant, is why don't you think that it's vodka? Why don't you think that it's vodka? Or why don't you think that it's some other type of drink like apple juice? Why is it water? Why is it not vodka? That was a very funny but a good point to make, okay? Well, you're seeing water because that's what you're most familiar with, okay? Even if you like to have a drink on the weekends, or even more so, you still hopefully drink more water than you drink vodka. And you've been drinking water since you're a baby. So water is what your brain is the most familiar with. So what does it do? It tries to connect what it sees with what it knows best, okay? That's the way our brain works. So our brain references what it is most familiar with. For kind of an interesting thought for you to sleep on and dream about, there's a good chance that you might have walked by an alien from another planet in the store when you were shopping today. But if that alien looked very different from a human, something that you've never seen before in life, and you walked past that alien, there's a good chance that the only thing you actually saw was another human. Why? Because if the alien is so different from your thoughts that the closest reference point your brain has to that shape is another human, then your brain will actually go, oh, it's just another human. Okay? It's a weird idea, but that's what it does. If you see some kind of new animal that you've never seen before in your life, then you'll reference the closest animal that looks like it, and you'll say, oh, it's a cat, or it's a dog. I come from Canada, on the West Coast, and we have beautiful, beautiful black bears in Canada. And there's a funny story where I've seen tourists who come to Canada and visit, when they're driving on the highway and there's a black bear on the side of the highway, the first thing they say is, oh, look, there's a big black dog. Okay? So their brain doesn't actually figure out that that's a bear until somebody says, no, 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 that's not a dog. That's a black bear. That's not a big dog. Because their brain, the first thing it can think about, since they've never seen a real live black bear on the side of the road, is I'm looking at a dog. Okay? You're not looking at a dog. Please don't go pet that animal. It's not going to be your friend. In fact, it might get very angry at you. That's a black bear. Okay? And that happens quite often. All right, so now we have some good information about the title of the mirage. What is it? It's an illusion. Why is it? Because the eyes are creating information that's false. How does it work? Well, it's based on physics with heat and light and refractive angles, and of course our psychology. Our brain is seeing what it's most familiar with, which is water, okay? So if you can get all of that information in your head from the title and from the picture, you are now on your way to understanding this passage much more effectively, reading much faster, much more clearly, and getting a much better score. Okay, so what's my next step? All right, so I've picked out mirages. I've thought about mirages critically. I've predicted what the passage might be about. And now I go on to my next step, which is look at the questions, okay? So look at the questions. And of course, read only questions and answers that are paraphrased from the passage. So don't read, for example, multiple choice answers. Don't read true, false, not given. Those will confuse you. They contain false and extra information not in the passage. Your brain is not linear, okay? It's dynamic, so it won't help to read those kinds of questions before the passage. But if you read questions that are in the passage, like fill in the blanks, that will be a good idea. So let's look at the questions for mirages. Now, for mirages, we have one of the types of questions that a lot of people don't really like and find difficult, which is list of headings. Okay? So one of the strategies we'll look at, and I've looked at before as well, is list of headings. Okay? Now, list of headings, it's kind of a special type of question. There's something unique about list of headings. What is something that's different about list of headings questions versus all of the other types of questions like summary completion, flowchart completion, and so on? There's something that's different about this question. What's different about it fundamentally? Okay, beyond the obvious, which is that you're identifying list of headings. So again, I want you to think here. What is fundamentally different? If you've taken a couple of practice exams in IELTS, you should know this. Ardian, no, there are some other questions that don't come in order, like the one that we looked at in the earlier class, which is match the information to the paragraph. There are other questions that are out of order. Multiple choice can be out of order as well. Nabin, you're right. It is the topic of the paragraph, not the controlling idea, but the actual topic of the paragraphs, because it's what is it about. Anytime you're asked a what is it about, that's usually the topic. The main controlling idea is usually why question. So it's not the controlling idea, but it's the topic. Okay, there we go. Somebody just answered it correctly, but I can't read Cyrillic, so if you want to type in your name in English text, then I can address you by your name, but you have the correct answer. It's the only one that comes before the text. Absolutely, okay? And that's not by accident. So the IELTS people, when they make these exams, they don't go, hey guys, how about we just take this question and make it before the paragraph for fun. That's not why they do it. So it's not for fun. It's not by accident. There is purpose to the madness. So the IELTS test composers, when they make these list of headings questions, they purposefully put it before the passage, okay? There's a reason that they're not putting it after the passage. Anybody know why that is? Okay, so you're saying it's to predict. Yeah, that's one of the reasons. List of headings questions are answering the what question, so it gives you a good overall idea of what the passage is about. So predicting is correct, and they put it before the passage because they want you to read it before the passage. And in fact, they want you to answer it as you're reading the passage. It is basically the only question type that you should be answering as you read the passage. So list of headings questions, keep these in mind. So is the only question given before the passage, because the IELTS people want you to read it before the passage and answer it as you read the passage. Okay? It is the only question that you should read as you read the passage. Okay? So all of the other question types, like fill in the blanks and multiple choice, etc., you don't want to answer those as you're reading the passage, okay? I talked about this in the first class today and explained very clearly why. The only question that you want to answer as you're reading the passage is list of headings, okay? So list of headings is the only one that you do that for. I can't emphasize that enough. So list of headings answers the what question, meaning what is this paragraph about? Okay, so that's what this question answers. So it gives you the topic for each passage. Now, usually, okay, let me just throw this out at you. When you're writing an essay, so a little bit of an interesting sidetrack here. So you're writing a task 2 essay. Where do you usually write the topic sentence? Can somebody tell me that? So when you write a good task 2 essay, where do you usually write the topic sentence? It's not just anywhere. It's not the conclusion. Bina says it's body 1. Khan says the first sentence of the paragraph. The first sentence of which paragraph? So let's see if somebody can put this together. It's the first sentence of which paragraph, not the introduction. The first sentence of the introduction is your hook. And then the background. So it is not the introduction. The topic sentence is the first sentence of your body paragraph, right? Okay, so therefore, the answer to list of headings is usually, not always, be careful, the first sentence of each body paragraph. Now, these are common nouns, but I'm just writing this in capital letters because I'm emphasizing that, okay? So usually the first sentence of the body paragraphs contain the topic sentences. So that's where you will find the answers for the list of headings questions. Except for what? So usually for list of headings, like I say, you'll find the answer in the first one or two sentences of a body paragraph, except for which paragraphs? Which paragraphs do you think are unique? Which paragraphs do you think the answer will not be in the first sentence, not be in the topic sentence of the body paragraph? That's right, Kun. The introduction and the conclusion, okay? Those are the two unique paragraphs, all right? So except for the introduction and conclusion paragraphs. Okay? So usually for the introduction and the conclusion, you have to read the whole paragraph to figure out what it is about. Okay? So the first and the last paragraph are the exceptions to this rule. So for these paragraphs, you need to read the whole paragraph. And the answer often comes from the last sentence or inferred from the whole paragraph. Okay? Inferred from the whole paragraph means that you can logically figure it out by understanding the whole introduction and the conclusion. Now, I can prove my point to you. I can show you the truth behind my explanation. How many of you have done a couple of practice tests? So can a couple of you just say, I have, just so I get an idea that some of you have done some practice tests for the academic IELTS. How many of you have actually done some practice reading exams and have done some of these list of headings questions? Okay, good. Now here, let me ask you an interesting question. Good. So I see that a lot of you have. That's excellent. Let me ask you, they give you an example for list of headings, right? So usually, Alejandro, nice job, man. Good job. An 8 is fantastic. Again, girls and guys, our materials are coming from educational psychology. We do know that they work. Students like Alejandro are successful on the IELTS. Good job, Alejandro. And again, just to push a little sales pitch here, because I want you to do as well as Alejandro, go to aehelp.com and gieltshelp.com. Join those full courses. Use our products. You will also get 7s, 8s, and 9s. Okay? I'm happy that you're doing practice tests, jumping back here, and that's great. When you look at these list of headings questions, they give you an example. Okay? Which paragraph do they give you the example for? Good job, Abo. 7.5 is a beautiful score. Very good. That will work for pretty much any master's or even PhD degree. All right. Where do they usually give you the example when you are doing list of headings questions? For the first paragraph, second paragraph, third paragraph, fourth paragraph, which one do they give you the example for? Well, we can look at ours. We can look at our example because we do the same thing in our exam as well. So have a look here. So here are the possible answers, of course, that you're choosing from. And then here you have the list of paragraphs. Which one do they give you the example for? Which one are we giving you the example for? Obviously, paragraph B, right? There's a reason for that, okay? Usually, they do not give you the answer for paragraph A. only on the old tests, okay? So if you're looking at old Cambridge tests, then they give you the example for A. But if you're looking at the new exams, and this is why it's important to get new materials, we're always creating new materials, so the way the IELTS looks today, they usually give you the example for B, okay? And sometimes for C, that's right. So it's either B and sometimes for C. The reason why they do that, so this is where if you're using your critical thinking and you go, why? Why did they give me the answer for B and C, and why do they not give it to me for just the first one, A? Okay? Anybody know? Anybody know why we're not giving you the example for A, why we're giving you the example for B or for C? There is an answer to this, so I want you to understand IELTS from the perspective of the test maker, and that will help you to figure it out and get your high IELTS score, like Alejandro and some of our other students, okay? So why are they giving you? No, they're not trying to confuse you. Remember what I just said. The two paragraphs where it's not the first sentence, not the topic sentence in the beginning, are the introduction and the conclusion. So the most difficult answer for list of headings is usually paragraph A and paragraph F, okay? You need a higher level of comprehension for paragraph A, for the introduction, and for the conclusion than for these body paragraphs. The body paragraphs are usually a little bit easier because you can figure out the answer from the first sentence in the paragraph. So they give you one of the easy answers. They want you to show your high level, your level 8, level 9 English and thinking skills by making you figure out the answer for A and F. So they will never or almost never give you the example for A and F because they know that those are the two tricky ones for you to have to figure out on your own, okay? So again, make sure you remember this important piece of information and strategy, that the introduction and the conclusion paragraphs, you need to read the whole paragraph, and the answer can come from the middle or the end, and you might actually have to infer the answer from the whole paragraph. So keep that in mind for list of headings, okay? All right, now for list of headings, they answer the what question, obviously. So if you're looking at an answer that looks like a Y, it's probably a wrong answer. And then the next thing that you need to do is read the answers and paraphrase them as best as you can. Doesn't have to be perfect. In your mind, okay? On the IELTS, on the real IELTS, you don't have too much time to write everything down, so you're paraphrasing them in your mind. So if you take a look at the answers here, okay, you read these and you paraphrase them as best as possible and as quickly as possible in your mind. So let's do that now, then we'll look at the next question. So, windows, mirrors, and hallucinations. Can anybody give me some synonyms or other ways to say windows, mirrors, and hallucinations? Never skim and scan, Farouk. It's not an effective strategy. Have a look at some of the other videos or the earlier video from today, and I explained that one. So let's look at some paraphrasing here. So look at these answers and think about other ways of saying them. Remember, synonyms are a good way. Antonym negatives, descriptions. Yep, glass for windows for sure. So glass. Glass is good for mirrors and for windows. It won't be time-taking, Maria. If you're using the right strategy, it won't be too time-taking. Okay? Openings is a bit weird for Windows, Lytton, because Windows actually close openings, right? So they're transparent, but it's not an opening. Hallucination is not drug use. Hallucination is, actually, some of you paraphrase that with illusion. That's right. Some of you already used that word. That's what I was looking for, illusions. Okay? So glass, illusions, imagination, sure. And again, Think of as many as you can, as quickly as you can, but don't spend 2 minutes trying to think of every word, okay? How the brain processes mirages, okay? Can somebody say another way? How the brain processes mirages. Anyone have a different way to say that? Mohan, please use English in the chat. I usually ignore the first non-English comments, but after that I have to hide them because I can't know what you're saying. Okay, so please use English. How the brain processes mirages. The working of the brain. Very good, yeah. For mirages, right? Sure. Okay. How the brain imagines mirages, Bina, I believe is what you're saying with the image. Well, images, mirages actually makes sense as well. And the way we understand mirages, very good, Safa, absolutely. The function of the brain with mirages. So those are all very good, okay? All of those are some very nice paraphrasings there. Olubu Sola. Temperature gradients. Can somebody give me something else there? How else can we say temperature gradients? Components of temperatures? Yeah, components is okay, sure. The up and down, sure, of temperatures, that's okay as well. It's not completely accurate. Hot and cold, yeah, that could be temperature gradients, yeah. Gradients, what's another way to say gradients that's a little bit more accurate? Scale, yeah, scale of temperature, sure. Or instead of scale, the degrees of temperature, yeah, is the actual more accurate term. Degrees, the levels, okay? So those are all good. Filmable, but ultimately up to the mind. Can somebody tell me another way to say that? Filmable, but ultimately up to the mind. And these are almost always paraphrased, so be very careful to try to search for these words because often that will be misleading and you'll actually choose the wrong answer, okay? The IELTS people might use this word filmable in the wrong paragraph, so be very careful. It's the paraphrasing that's the key, okay? Filmable means that it can be what? If I can film it, I can capture it on video, right? Okay, so I can capture it on video, but in the end, the brain decides. Okay, it's recorded, but in the end, the brain decides. That's right, Sudarshan. That's another way to say it. Okay, all right. A common experience of the mirage, shared experiences. Okay, I'm just going to do these ones a little bit quickly. The need for water, necessity for water. Okay, the cause of mirages, result of, for cause, true hallucinations, real delusions. It's a little bit different, but we'll for now just say it's the same. So real delusions. An adventurer sees something, traveler sights. Okay, the difference between two phenomenon. Okay, comparing hypotheses or occurrences, strange occurrences. The fallible mind. I'll leave that last one to you. What's another way to say fallible? Okay, so I'm just showing you here that it doesn't have to be perfect. It just needs to be quick and close. Okay? The fallible human mind. Anybody know? Some good vocabulary practice here for some of you that don't know. Make sure you write it down and practice learning these new words at home. Absolutely. The mistakable, yeah, sure, that's kind of close. The false is okay as well. So false, the mistakable, the imperfect, yep. The error making, yeah. To err, okay, absolutely. So the mistaking human mind. Okay, sure. So those are some good paraphrasing. The faulty, also very good, Prabesh. Faulty is the erroneous. Marina, it's a very nice synonym. The erroneous for fallible human mind. So that's a very close synonym. Absolutely. Again, if these words are new for you, write it down and also repeat after me. So when I say erroneous, as Marina just wrote up, repeat the word erroneous. That's a tricky pronunciation if you're not familiar with it. Erroneous. All right, so this is our paraphrasing, and that's good. You're doing this as you're reading, okay? So as you read, you think about these paraphrasings, and you think about them when you're looking at the questions. So now, let's look at the other questions and see if we should be reading them before the passage or leave them for after the passage. Okay, so that's our list of headings. We'll come back to those when we do the actual answering. Okay, and then here we have our next set of questions. Choose no more than 2 words from the passage for each answer. It's complete the sentences below. So obviously this is a fill in the blanks. Do I read this one before the passage? Alien Eater, error prone is good too. So do I read this before the passage? Yes, absolutely. You should definitely be reading these before the passage. So mirages are created by that fool the mind. Differences in air are the cause of mirages. So repeat these as I'm saying them. You should read these because it's information that's in the passage. Just repeat after me. 34. The pool of water seen in the distance is of the sky. We interpret the mirage as water and not a mirror because the mind makes from its past experience. Notice that that is connected to what I explored in the beginning. Okay, so we read those ones. All right, here we have our last set of questions for this passage, 36 to 38. It's a classification type question. Classify the following facts as applying to A, mirages, B, hallucinations. Okay, so obviously hallucinations and mirages are not the same. Be very careful. Should I read these ones? Sorry, there's going to be a couple more there as well after. Should I read these ones, these classification ones? Yes, absolutely, because they are in the passage. So they are fictitious, they can be caught on camera, they are a product of the mind interpreting unfamiliar and contradictory phenomena. All right. 39 to 40, write the correct letter, A, B, C, or D. Write the correct letter in boxes 39 to 40 on your answer sheet. Always read the instructions. Okay, don't skip the instructions. A lot of students lose points because they skip them. Should I read all of this multiple choice here? No, I shouldn't. What should I read? And of course, those of you who are coming in from the first class know this, and it's a bit of a refresher. Only the questions, that's right, because only the question is in the passage, and you need to think about the answer on your own. If you're wondering about multiple choice strategy, please look at the lesson that we recorded earlier today. There's multiple choice strategy there for you that's already available on the YouTube channel. Just check it out there. So we only read the question here. Why do we see the image on the road as a puddle of water? Okay, so we read the question, not the answer, because 3 of them are wrong information and will confuse us. Okay, and number 40, why can't a person unsee a mirage? Okay, so why can't we unsee it? Means not see it once we've seen it. Again, we do not read the answers. Please don't read them because you'll get confused, and then you might even tell me something that is not in the passage. All right, so we read the questions, we looked at them. And now the next step, of course, is reading. Okay? You do not skim read. You do not scan. It does not work for high scores like 7, 8, and 9. Those will only be strategies that work for a 5.5. They'll be very frustrating, and they will hurt your writing and speaking score potentially as well. So don't skim and scan, okay? Read the passage properly. You have lots and lots of time. Now, on our website, we actually have the audio for reading passages to help you with your listening, pronunciation, your reading fluency. So we've realized that having audio for the reading section is very useful for many students. And what I want to do right now is I'm going to play the audio for this reading passage. Please read with the audio. Don't think about the questions. Don't think about the answers. We'll do that after we read it once with the audio. Okay, everybody clear on that? So I'm just going to jump to our website where this information is coming from. And if you have our website full access at home, then what you want to do if you're reviewing this later on today is go into your go into your IELTS audio CDs. Okay, you have lots of them. This is test book 2. Okay, so you're looking at test book number 2, and this will be reading passage 3 from book 2, which means that you need to find CD number 5, I believe is the right one here. It should be. And reading passage 3, so it will be CD 5, track 7, but I believe that we have that on the page as well. Should tell me that right there. Yeah, so when you're in your book, it's easy to follow because it'll tell you right there that you're looking for CD number 5 in your My Student account, and you're looking for track number 7 for the read-along audio. Please use that, okay? So please use the audio CDs. We put a lot of extra money and effort into that, so you have that as a learning tool, okay? So let me go back here. Let me just enlarge. Okay, is everybody ready to read with the audio? Just throw up a couple of yeses for me, and then I'll jump right into that audio. I just want to make sure that we're on the same page and that you're with me. All right. So got some good agreement there. All right, here we go. So let's do this.
Mirages. A man is walking in a desert in dire need of water. Up ahead, he sees what seems to be a lake or a pond. Excited, he runs towards the source of water. He gets closer, but the water disappears. He looks again, and the water reappears, but it is in the distance once again. He runs once more, but his efforts are futile. The water is not there. The man is not going mad. In fact, there is nothing wrong with him or his vision at all. What he has seen is called a mirage. Mirages are optical illusions caused by atmospheric conditions, which play tricks on the brain's visual system. Importantly, they are not hallucinations. Hallucinations are fabrications, while mirages are a result of phenomena in the real world. Another way to look at the difference between hallucinations and mirages is that mirages will be seen by any observer. Hallucinations, conversely, exist only in the mind of the person hallucinating. While the man walking in the desert anecdote is a popular mirage narrative, the most common mirage in everyday life actually takes place on long, straight, flat highways on hot, sunny days. Driving along such a highway on such a day, it is common to see what looks like a puddle of water on the road in the distance. But once that point is reached, the puddle is gone, and instead, located further in the distance. What is going on here? The cause of mirages is the difference in heat between the ground and the air. Tarmac, the surface material of highways, can get very hot in the summer and releases heat, raising the temperature of the air immediately above the tarmac. The air higher up is much cooler, so there is a sharp temperature gradient, or rate of change, in the air above the highway. It is known from physics that light is refracted or bent differently through air at different temperatures. The sharp temperature gradient in the air immediately above the highway causes the light rays to bend upwards towards the cooler, denser air. Because the human visual system interprets all light rays as being straight, which in general is true, we interpret these bent rays as originating from the ground. What is seen on the road in the distance is simply a reflection of the sky on the ground, which from afar looks precisely like a puddle of water in the middle of the road. That humans see the phenomenon as a puddle of water is not a coincidence, however. It is the result of a rapid problem-solving process in the brain, which attempts to make sense of conflicting phenomena. Since humans are not accustomed to seeing non-straight light rays, the brain must make sense of them as best it can. Water on the highway is not the only explanation for what the mind sees ahead. A window pane or a mirror may be on the road instead. If there was a large mirror on the road, for example, the visual phenomenon would be identical. The driver would see a reflection of the sky on the road in the distance. So why is it that we always interpret the mirage as water on the road and not a mirror in the road or something else? It is because the brain, without consciously thinking, makes the best inference it can. The average person in their catalogue of experiences does not have a real, non-mirage experience of seeing a mirror in the middle of a highway. Conversely, the average person does have a real experience of seeing a puddle on the highway. Any sufficiently rainy day will produce this effect. The brain compares the probabilities of these two and other possibilities and concludes that the phenomenon must be a puddle of water. Knowing that the water is not, in fact, there does nothing to dispel us from the visual impression that water is on the highway. The brain's visual machinery is not subject to the logic of the rest of the brain. No matter how hard a person tries to unsee a mirage, it will always be there. Interestingly, mirages can actually be captured on film because the refracted light rays really are forming an image on the road. What the false image is mistaken for, however, is entirely up to the interpretation of the human mind.
All right. So, quick question. Girls and guys, do you think she was reading quickly, slowly, or just an average pace? Do you think she was... So Kun obviously jumped ahead there. You thought that was a bit slower. Susanna says average pace. Hike says normal. Farouk says very slow. Marina says slowly. Safa says that was a good speed. Middle, slow. I would say that was probably a little bit on the slower side, just a bit. Okay, I would say that normal reading speed allowed would be about maybe 10-15% faster. Okay, so that was a tiny, tiny bit on the slower side, but I definitely wouldn't say slow. So average is probably the best answer here. Then here's my next question. How much time do you think she took? So how many minutes do you think that was? Haik says that was roughly 7 minutes. Khan says 6. Kishal Patel says 4. Alien says a lot. A lot of time. All right, well, let's have a look at it. So that was, ladies and gentlemen, a total of, and you can see that in your track. So if you're using our course at home, you can, and you're curious about how fast is this person reading, that was 5 minutes and 40 seconds. Okay, So 5 minutes and 40 seconds. So how much time does this person have to look at the questions, think about strategies, and answer the questions? Okay, how much time do you think this person has for the rest of this? Yeah, Kun, right, 14. It's 20 minutes, so you should take about 20 minutes on each of these sections. So if you're taking 20 minutes for passage 3 here, then it's exactly, if somebody gives me the exact number, it's 14 minutes and 20 seconds, okay? So this person would have, or should have, 14 minutes and 20 seconds. The correct answer, Ryan, mathematically, just to be a snob here, would actually be 14.33333 in mathematical terms. So it would be 14 minutes and 20 seconds for the questions. Now, if I have, let's see how many questions we have for this, just for fun. Let's take it one step further. So let's see. We have our paragraph, or our list of headings. We have 5 questions there. Okay, and then at the end, we have another 4 here, so that's 9. And then we have 3 more there, so that's 12. And we have 2 more there, so we have 14. So 14 questions, 14 minutes and 20 seconds. So how much time do I have per question if I'm reading at this speed? So if I read at this speed, how much time do I have to figure out the correct answer for each one? Yeah, roughly a minute. Now, if of course you're doing question strategy and you're doing your paraphrasing and looking at the questions before the test, you probably won't have that much time. You'll probably have about 45 seconds. Here's my question to you. Do you think 45 seconds is enough time to answer one question correctly? Is 45 seconds average enough time to answer one of these questions? Okay, there's definitely a little bit of disagreement. Some say depends, some say yes. Remember, average time. So some of these questions, hopefully you're answering much faster. So some of the easier questions, hopefully you only take 20 seconds, which will give you more time for the more difficult questions. When you think about seconds, girls and guys, think about it as 1 1,000, 2 1,000, 3 1,000, 4 1,000, 5 1,000, 6 1,000, 7 1,000, 8 1,000, 9 1,000, 10 1,000, 1 1,000, 2 1,000. Okay, I'm going to stop there because I know you're going to probably jump out of this live stream and never join the live class again. But so I'll stop before you get to that point of frustration. But just imagine if I just did that for 45 1,000s. Okay, if I just did that for 45 1,000s. 45 1,000s is a lot of 1,000s. It's a lot of time, okay? 45 1,000s is really a lot of time. It should be plenty of time on average to answer these questions, all right? Especially if you're using the right strategies and the right techniques, okay? So let's now go step by step. Let's answer these questions. And again, for those of you who are new and for those of you who haven't done it yet, to get all these great materials, that reading audio just came from our full course at aehelp.com. And of course, if you're studying General IELTS Help, we have the same thing for the General IELTS reading at gieltshelp.com. So I really do highly, highly encourage you to join our courses there and get the most benefit. Spend a little money and don't pay a lot of money to have to resit the IELTS exam. So let's look at the list of headings question. So again, this one we answer as we go, paragraph by paragraph. So let's do that now. Let's read paragraph A together. Don't be shy. Repeat after me. Read aloud. If you can, please, please, please practice reading aloud, okay? Don't just sit at home and read quietly in your mind. It's very important that you read aloud at home when you're practicing for IELTS. So let's look at paragraph A and answer that question. So what paragraph A is about. Okay, so let's jump back here. Okay, and let's read it. A man is walking in a desert in dire need of water. Up ahead, he sees what seems to be a lake or a pond. Excited, he runs towards the source of water. He gets closer, but the water disappears. He looks again, and the water reappears, but it is in the distance once again. He runs once more, but his efforts are futile. The water is not there. Strategy, list of headings, questions. Yeah, he's lost in the desert, definitely. What is this paragraph about? So what is this paragraph about? Oh, don't think too hard. Keep it simple. What is this paragraph about? Somebody said a man lost in the desert, right? So it's some kind of a situation. Well, I would say it's about a man lost in the desert who keeps seeing water in the distance. So this paragraph is about a man who sees water that's not there, okay? A man who sees water that is not there. Okay, so again, this is the introduction. So you have to read the whole paragraph. So now let's look at the answers. Windows, mirrors, I'm not even going to read that because that doesn't make sense. How the brain processes, I don't think so. Temperature, nope. Filmable, probably not. Common experience of a mirage, I don't think so. The need for water, the cause of mirages, true hallucination. An adventurer sees something, the difference between two phenomenon, the fallible human mind. Which one do you think is the closest to my answer? A man seeing what's not there. Which one is the closest one to a man seeing what's not there? Yeah, for all of you who are choosing number 9, absolutely, an adventurer sees something, okay? I would say that that is the closest one. We're talking about a man who's seeing water that's not there. So he's seeing something. It's not water because it keeps moving away, but he sees something. And it's about a man, okay? The topic of that paragraph is the man that's walking around in the desert. So it has to be the adventurer. Please, don't add your own ideas to the answer. Just answer what is in the text, okay? It has to be an adventurer that sees something. This should not be difficult if you realize that this introduction is about a man who's seeing water that keeps moving, okay? Why is it not VI? Because it's not the need for water. That's maybe a controlling idea of parts, but it's not the topic. What is this paragraph about? It's about a man, okay? So the man is the adventurer. It's the topic question. It's the what question, not the why question. Okay, not the how question. It's the what question. What is this paragraph about? It's about a man. Okay? The fallible human mind is not correct because it's not talking about the human mind being wrong or making a mistake. Remember, all of us would see that water. Okay? So the topic is the adventure. The subject of the story is the adventurer. Okay? When you practice this, it should become obvious, Marina. So think about the topic. Think about the subject. Okay? It's not the cause for mirages because there's nothing in this paragraph that tells us why the man is actually seeing this. Okay? So it has to be the adventurer. The introductory paragraph is about the man. Please believe me when I say that, okay? The subject. So if you know literature, if some of you are literature majors, you don't have to think about this in English, but if your major in university or college is literature, so writing and how writing works, you know that a story has a subject. That subject is a topic. The topic here and the subject here is the man, the adventurer. Okay? So the correct answer for paragraph A, again, guys, girls, don't get too sad. Remember what I said before, that the first and the last paragraph are the most difficult ones to get correct. So this one here is IX, okay? It is the adventurer, this one here, all right? That's the key word. An adventurer sees something, right? All right, second paragraph, we can read that one, but we already know that the answer is X, the difference between two phenomena. So we'll read over it. Don't skip the example paragraph, by the way, in the real IELTS. So the man is not going mad. In fact, there is nothing wrong with him or his vision at all. Okay, so we know it's not a hallucination. What he has seen is called a mirage. Mirages are optical illusions caused by atmospheric conditions which play tricks on the brain's visual system. Importantly, they are not hallucinations. Hallucinations are fabrications, while mirages are a result of phenomena in the real world. Another way to look at the difference between hallucinations and mirages is that mirages will be seen by any observer. Hallucinations, conversely, exist only in the mind of the person hallucinating. All right, good. So we know the answer to that one. We don't have to go back. Let's keep going with C. All right. While the man walking in the desert anecdote is a popular mirage narrative, the most common mirage in everyday life actually takes place on long, straight, flat highways on hot, sunny days. Driving along such a highway on such a day, it is common to see what looks like a puddle of water on the road in the distance. But once that point is reached, the puddle is gone and is instead located further in the distance. What is going on here? Okay. So remember, for body paragraphs, you're probably finding the answer where? Where do we find the answer for body paragraphs? Absolutely. Rushing, if you want to get 7, 8, or 9 on IELTS, you need to read the whole passage. Absolutely. Okay. So usually in the first sentence. So in this one, my focus would be here. While the man walking in the desert is a popular narrative, the most common mirage in everyday life actually takes place along a straight, flat highway on hot, sunny days. So this is where I would be focusing mostly for the correct answer. So if I go back to the list of headings, and again, obviously right now we're reading this twice, but in the real exam you would only be doing this one time, okay? And you're answering these questions as we're doing right now. So here, windows, mirrors, and hallucinations, how the brain processes, temperature gradients, filmable, a common experience of a mirage, the need for water, the cause of mirages, true hallucinations, and adventure. We've X'd this one out. If you know you have the correct answer, you can cross it out. We know that this one's given, so please do not write X for any of your answers. And then the fallible human mind doesn't seem right for me. So what is it about? Everybody who is throwing up number 5 is correct. A common experience, right? That's what it's about. And it's in that first sentence that I showed you. What is the common experience? What's the most common experience of the mirage? Without going back to the passage, you now should know the answer to this question. What is the most... highways, exactly, Raya. Yeah, highways are the most... Puddle of water on a highway is the most common experience for most people to see a mirage. So it has to be that one. So C is number 5, okay? So the answer to C... Again, I make this look kind of easy, and I know, girls and guys, that it's not that easy. It takes practice. You have to practice this strategy at home, and you have to do it several times before, okay? So everyday experience is highways. All right, let's move along nice and smooth. So going on to D, again, I have the thought in my head, list of headings, probably the answer is coming from this first bit here. The cause of mirages is the difference in heat between the ground and the air. Tarmac, the surface material of highways, can get very hot in the summer and releases heat, raising the temperature of the air immediately above the tarmac. The air higher up is much cooler, so there is a sharp temperature gradient or the rate of change in the air above the highway. It is known from physics that light is refracted or bent differently through air at different temperatures. The sharp temperature gradient in the air immediately above the highway causes the light rays to bend upwards towards the cooler, denser air because the human visual system interprets all light rays as being straight. which in general is true, we interpret these bent rays as originating from the ground. What is seen on the road in the distance is simply a reflection of the sky on the ground, which from afar looks precisely like a puddle of water in the middle of the road. Okay? So before I even look at the list of headings, tarmac is the material, the asphalt material of the road, okay? British English say tarmac. Americans, Canadians, we tend to say asphalt, okay? So it is the material of the road. That question was for Rachin, okay? Before you answer the list of headings, and I know some of you who have these materials at home already probably are looking to see which one it is, but what is this paragraph about? So if I ask myself, what is this paragraph about? What is it about? What's the answer? Thank you, Raya and Hike. It's the cause of mirages, okay? So what is creating the mirage, the cause of mirage, the reason behind the mirage? It's explaining the science for the reason that mirages happen. So hopefully you get that information. Notice, you don't have to understand every word in the paragraph. You just have to understand what it is about. And there is a lot of information to help you understand what it is about. So which one of these is the best answer? Windows mirrors hallucinations, how the brain processes mirages, temperature gradients, filmable but ultimately up to the mind, a common experience of a mirage, the need for a mirage, the cause of mirages, true hallucinations, an adventurer sees something, the difference between two phenomena. Which one is it? 7, absolutely, okay? So the cause of mirages, that is the scientific explanation. So 7 will be the right answer for that paragraph, okay? Now, this is why you have to use correct strategy for questions, okay? And this is why we really do think that our IELTS materials and strategies are much more effective for students to get those high scores, because we're teaching you strategies that we know work. We've tested them on hundreds of students and we know they work. Sometimes with other IELTS courses, we see problems like students will look at details and they'll choose temperature gradients. And that would be obviously a wrong answer here. The paragraph talks about temperature gradients, but the main idea, what the paragraph is about, is the cause of mirages, okay? Temperature gradients is why mirages happen. So it's why the mirages happen, but that's not the heading for the paragraph, okay? The heading for the paragraph is the what answer, and the what answer is the cause of mirages, okay? So the right answer here for, I believe that was D, is 7, right? In your answer sheet, please use the Roman numeral. So don't use the Arabic numeral, use the Roman numeral, what they're showing you, okay? So number 7. All right. So, where were we? E. All right, let's read E and figure out the answer. So again, remember, the answer is usually coming from the beginning of a body paragraph. This is still a body paragraph. The conclusion will be next. That humans see the phenomena as a puddle of water is not a coincidence, however. It is the result of a rapid problem-solving process in the brain which attempts to make sense of conflicting phenomena. Since humans are not accustomed to seeing non-straight light rays, the brain must make sense of them as best it can. Water on the highway is not the only explanation for what the mind sees ahead. A window pane or a mirror may be on the road instead. If there was a large mirror on the road, for example, the visual phenomena would be identical. The driver would see a reflection on the sky on the road in the distance. So why is it that we always interpret the mirage as a water on the road and not a mirror in the road or something else? It is because the brain, without consciously thinking, makes the best inference it can. The average person in their catalog of experiences does not have a real non-mirage experience of seeing a mirror in the middle of a highway. Conversely, the average person does have a real experience of seeing a puddle on a highway. Any sufficient rainy day will produce this effect. The brain compares the probabilities of these two and other possibilities and concludes that the phenomenon must be a puddle of water. Knowing that the water is not, in fact, there does nothing to dispel us from the visual impression that water is on the highway. The brain's visual machinery is not subject to the logic of the rest of the brain. No matter how hard a person tries to unsee the mirage, it will always be there. Okay, again, let me just jump at you. It's not too long of a body paragraph. It's just because it's in a column, it might look long. Bina, what is this paragraph about? So what is this paragraph about? What is it talking about? Somebody tell me. What is this paragraph about? Rasheen, if you actually timed me, I probably only took about a minute to read that. Yeah, Raspinder, hike. Huslande, if you added humans in there. I would say it's about the brain processing the mirage. So how the brain is understanding the mirage. So hopefully most of you figured that out, that this paragraph is about what the brain is doing. Okay, so if I want to keep it really simple, what the brain is doing to see the mirage. Okay, so why the brain is seeing that mirage. Let's see if we can find the list of heading that matches with that answer. Windows, mirrors, and hallucinations, those are details. Hopefully you're not picking that one. Okay, even though you see those words in the paragraph, I hope you don't get that one. Okay, how the brain processes mirages, suspicious. Temperature gradients, filmable but common experience. We know that's crossed out. We've given that answer. The need for water, the cause of we crossed that one out. True hallucinations and adventure, we've crossed that one out. The difference between two, we've crossed that one out. The fallible human mind. What do you think is the closest answer that some of you students just gave? Yeah, how the brain processes mirages, right, is the closest answer. If you're not using the right strategy for list of headings, it's easy to make the mistake to give number 1 or to give number 11. Hopefully, you did not give number 1 or number 11, but you kept your ideas simple. You read the paragraph. You asked yourself, what is this paragraph about? You answered yourself, well, this paragraph is about how the brain understands a mirage or processes the mirage, the function of the brain, and you answered number 2, and then you got it correct. Okay? List of headings can be tricky if you don't realize that these are what questions. What is the paragraph about? So the correct answer for this one is Roman numeral 2. Please put I into the answer sheet, and you got it correct. All right, last one, conclusion. Again, one of the more difficult questions, just like the introduction. Let's look at the conclusion. Okay, here we go. And followed by a very nice short paragraph for those of you who were a little bit worried about the long paragraph previously. So here's one that's nice and short and quick, but could be more difficult to answer correctly. Paragraph F. Interestingly, mirages can actually be captured on film because the refracted light rays really are forming an image on the road. What the false image is mistaken for, however, is entirely up to the interpretation of the human mind. So, what is this paragraph about? Interestingly, mirages can actually be captured on film because the refracted light rays really are forming an image on the road. What the false image is mistaken for, however, is entirely up to the human mind. What is it about? So you're saying it's up to the human mind. ENJ is saying fallible. Hopefully I get some answers that are the same. So filmable but up to the mind. Sure, let's stick with that one. So real but interpreted by the mind. Okay, well, let's check that out. Let's see if something is matching answers closely. Careful, if something is too good to be true, it could be. So windows, no. How the brain processes mirages, in, no. Temperature gradients, filmable, but ultimately up to the human mind. Number 4, anybody think that one? Maybe. A common experience of the mirage, the need for water, the cause of mirages, true hallucinations, an adventurer sees something. Answer is number 4, right? Number 4. It's not the fallible human mind. The better answer is filmable, but ultimately up to the mind. Okay? This is a better answer than this because it's a 2-part what? It's filmable, but it's up to the mind. Okay? This answer is okay, but it's only half of the answer. This is the full answer. Filmable, but up to the mind. Okay? So don't overthink it. All right? Number 4 is the right answer there. So for paragraph F in your answer sheet, hopefully you're putting in the Roman numeral number 4 like that, and now you've gotten them all correct. By the way, one of the important reasons to do a good job on list of headings is what? Why do you think that it's really, really important to do a good job on list of headings questions in your reading? So this is not a kind of question where you want to get half of them correct. Hopefully, list of headings, you're getting all of them correct. Why do I say that? Why do I say that? Satish, the reason why we have a little bit more buffering is because we have a lot more complex setup. Most streams that you're looking at are probably not projection streams like this. It's just somebody's face. It's less moving parts. Okay? So, why do you think it's important to, yeah, Hike says to help us. Absolutely. That's the most simple answer, to help you, because it's answering all of the what questions. Okay? So it's answering all of the what questions. Okay? So what this paragraph is about, what that paragraph is about. If you can't answer that question, if you can't answer what this paragraph is about, that makes me worried that you're lost. Okay? It means that you're probably not understanding the why and the how either. If you don't understand the what, it's very difficult, if not impossible, to know the why and the how for each paragraph clear enough that you can answer the other questions. Okay? So it doesn't just give you the general idea like the title rushing, but it actually gives you the specific what answer to each paragraph. So it's even more useful. Okay? So let me just make a couple notes for you on that real quick before we look at the other questions. Okay? So again, remember, list of headings questions, you look at it before the topic, or you look at it before you read the passage, and then what you do is after you read a paragraph, ask yourself and answer, what is this paragraph about? Give the answer and find the closest match from the list. Okay? Again, do not change your idea. Okay? So once you've given your answer, it's just like with the multiple choice strategy that I showed you in the last class, and we'll use that again soon here in the next question. Once you have your what answer, please don't change it when you're looking at the answers for something different. Find the one that matches. If it doesn't match, read the paragraph again, or at least read the first couple sentences, the topic sentences, okay? So don't change your answer, okay, once you have it. All right, so that's what you want to do. And just one more note here. These are very important questions to get correct, as many as possible, because they ensure you that you truly understand what you are reading. Okay? If you're getting them wrong, you would have a hard time convincing me that you actually understand what you're reading. Okay? So that's why it's so important to get these correct. They will help you with the other questions. All right, so they'll help you get the other questions right and help you to answer them quickly, okay? Nice score, learner. Great. Yeah, they work. The strategies work, absolutely. And I'm happy that you got 31 out of 40. Awesome. All right, so let's jump back here to the next questions. We'll move through them at a nice, comfortable pace. I've shown strategies for fill-in blanks in previous classes, so I'm not going to get into too much details there for today. We'll just go and answer these. So number 32, mirages are created by something that fool the mind. What do you think is the correct answer for 32? And here is a nice question for you. If I don't know, but I got my list of headings questions correctly, where can I find this? Reflections might be okay, and it's no more than 2 words. So you're saying second paragraph because I know that that's the one that's telling me of how they work. So careful, reflections might not be, or illusions might not be the correct answer. But if I got my list of headings, questions correct, then I know that I can check this real quick in paragraph 2. And because I know I have 45 seconds to get the correct answer, if I'm reading at a good speed, then I might want to do that. Okay? Mirages are optical illusions caused by atmospheric conditions which place tricks on the brain's visual system. What's the answer? Haha, Sudarashan. Very good, yeah. So be careful. You got 2 words there, and the correct answers, and make sure you spell it correctly when you see it there. So when you're writing this into your answer sheet, answer exactly as you see it there, okay? So the correct answer for that question is atmospheric conditions. Okay, reflections is too simple. Here it's looking for the specific answer. Reflections will not be correct. It's 2 words. So you want created by atmospheric conditions. Okay, it has to be spelled correctly. Mirages are created by atmospheric conditions that fool the mind. This is why you have to get your list of headings questions correct. When you have them correct, you know where to look. You can find it real quick. Okay? I could have, in the real exam, I could have found that answer in a matter of 15 seconds at most. Okay? Probably even faster. So 45 seconds is a lot of time. Differences in air something are the causes of mirages. Differences in air what? Absolutely. So temperature, close attention here. Careful, Pavitra. You're almost at a right answer, but you get that wrong. Okay? It's maximum 2 words. So the correct answer has to be temperature. That's right, Susanna. That's the missing word. Gradients. Okay? The S is super important because it's not an is, it's an are. So we know that the noun that comes into this place here has to be a plural. Okay? And if I spell it wrong with an E, it's wrong. So temperature, that's right, Alien Eater. Nice catch there. If I write it with an E and not the right one, it's wrong. If I want to be sure, if I don't have good spelling skills, and by the way, girls and guys, I hate to break this to you, but my spelling isn't the most fantastic. English is a phonetic language, so even native speakers are often not good at spelling. Then I would go back and check that word in the passage. Okay, I would look for the word temperature and double check to make sure that I'm spelling it correctly. All right, so temperature gradients. All right. It's not a guess here, Rachin. We know it. Differences in air temperature gradients. There's a whole paragraph that talks about it. And again, list of headings will give you that, that answer that it's either in a C or D. Okay, so number 34. The pool of water seen in the distance is of the sky. You can probably get this one without looking at the passage. You hopefully do not need to go back for the passage for all these questions. Yeah, reflection, just reflection, okay? It's maximum 2 words. 1 word is enough here. It makes sense. It's clear. They will take the word reflection, okay? Small r, reflection of the sky, okay? So reflection is the correct answer there. We interpret the mirage as water and not a mirror because the mind makes on something from its past experiences. Okay? Anybody want to take a stab at this answer, 35? We interpret the mirage as water and not a mirror because the mind makes a inference. Maybe. Image? No. Okay, so I'm having a little bit of trouble with this one. I think I know what the answer is, but I want to make sure. Where should I go? If I got my list of headings questions correct, where should I go? Remember our answers here? So remember the answers that we gave here. How the brain processes mirages. Everybody remembers which paragraph that was? So you're saying that was paragraph C? Let's take a look at it. I don't think so. Looks like it was paragraph D to me. Was it? Nope, it was E. So E was the paragraph. Of course, now I don't have the answers anymore, but this would be much more simple in the real exam. Why? Because you have that in your answer sheet. So you would just look at your answer sheet and you could see that E is about how the brain processes mirages, right? So you just look at that and then you can quickly go to E and reference it. But in my case, I erased the answers from the board. So that's why I couldn't see it. But here we have it. So it's the result. So the brain attempts to make sense. Now, I even remember when I look at this paragraph that paragraph E, it tells me here what the brain is actually doing. It says the brain compares the probabilities of these 2 other possibilities and concludes the phenomenon must be a puddle of water. Okay? So what the brain does, in fact, is it references what it knows, okay? So it takes its past experiences. So why does it not see a mirror? Why does it not see a window? It's because it's referencing what it already knows, okay? So that's your answer there. I'm just looking to see if I can find that specifically in the paragraph. Okay. So here it says the average person in their catalog of experiences does not have a real experience of seeing a mirror in the mind. Conversely, the average person does have a real experience of seeing a puddle on the highway. Any sufficient rainy day will produce this effect. Okay, it makes a reference or a comparison is fine as well from its past experiences. All right, let's go on to the last 2 questions, and then, of course, we can check our answers in the answer key at the end. So here we're classifying the following facts as either a mirage or a hallucination, and that should be clear. Yeah, reference is a bit sketchy, I agree, Alien Eater, but I'm not going to get stuck up on it because if I don't have it correct, as long as I get 13 out of 14, I am happy as a pig in mud. Don't worry about it. And I can always come back and check why I got that wrong. So let's forget about that for now. I'll use that to give you a little bit more clear explanation in a bit. Let's look at these ones, and I'll come back to that sketchy one, okay? Don't worry about it. So classify the following facts as applying to mirages and hallucinations. Okay, let's do these ones. So forget about that one. Focus on the next questions. Don't run out of time. See, if I were writing the real exam and I was having trouble like I was with that question, I would just answer it as best as I can and then keep going, okay? So here, we can classify these as A, mirages, or B, hallucinations. For this type of question, you should not have to search too much. Number 36, they are fictitious. Anybody know the meaning of fictitious? Another answer for fictitious? Yeah, it's made up, it's imagined, okay? So are mirages imagined? Well, hopefully you understood from the passage that they're not imagined. It's actually something happening there. Hallucinations, are they imagined? Yes, they are. So the correct answer here, because we don't have both, would be B, hallucinations are fictitious. They can be caught on camera. Caught on camera means filmable, so it has to be A, right? We know that from the final conclusion paragraph. And then here, they are a product of the mind interpreting unfamiliar and contradictory phenomena. 38. A or B? Yeah, absolutely A, okay? So we know that mirages are interpretations of the mind. Hopefully that was clear from the passage as well. So these should be quick and easy when you are doing an effective job of reading this passage, okay? So now, let's look at our final two questions, okay? And use the multiple choice strategy that I taught you earlier in the first class for today. If you missed that one, please check that one on the YouTube channel, okay? So here we go. Write the correct letter, A, B, C, or D, in the boxes. So for box 39, why do we see the image on the road as a puddle of water? So the strategy here is you want to think about the answer before, okay? So I want you to answer that in your own words. Why do we see the image on the road as a puddle of water? In your own words. So don't give me the choice yet. I don't care about the choice. Just give me your own answer. Just give me your own answer. Don't look at the answers yet. So Raya says, because it's more familiar. I agree, Raya. Because it is the most common situation, Khan. I agree. Yeah, we are familiar with water. Absolutely. That's what our brain thinks about. That's what it references, okay? We see water more commonly than anything else. It's not why do we see a mirror or a glass, but why do we see the image on the road as a puddle of water? Because water is our most common point of reference. So let's see if we have something that's close to that. We are hallucinating it, but it's really not there. No, we are not accustomed to seeing mirrors in the middle of the road. That's true. It may have rained recently, perhaps, but we're talking about the image. It is the simplest answer and corresponds to our past experiences. Okay? Wow, okay, that looks good. Let's go with D. Past experiences. I just got that one correct. Okay, I'm critically thinking here. Does that maybe help me with the answer that I had difficulty with before? Okay, from its past experiences, there I have past experiences again. Can I use this multiple choice question to help me get that one correct? Maybe. All right, let's go to number 40. We'll come back to that. Why can't a person unsee a mirage? Okay, why can't a person unsee a mirage? Right? Answer that with your own words. Why can't a person unsee a mirage? In your own words, what is the answer? Don't look at the answers because you could get it wrong if you're looking at the answers first. You should always try to answer the multiple choice question from your own mind first and then choose the one that matches. So Khan says, because it is really there. Hi, Madhu. Joining in near the end, but that's great because it is real. It's a simple hallucination. Yeah, because it exists in some way. All right? It's a real situation. Let's see if something like that matches. Logic demands that we cannot see it. That doesn't make sense. Human vision is not logical. The brain's visual machinery is incapable of changing. The brain is overly complex and unadaptable. Which one do you think is the best answer? Because the brain wants to see it. That's right, Adrian. It has to interpret it. So the brain wants to interpret what it sees. Okay? C is not true, so we know that's probably not the right one. Okay? A lot of different answers there. Some of you are saying B, some of you are saying D. Okay, if I don't know, did I see unsee anywhere in the paragraph? Did anybody see unsee in the paragraph? Was that in there? Yes, absolutely it was. Alien Eater says yes, that was in the paragraph. Can I search for this real quick? If I have a one or 2 minutes, it's the last question in the whole reading passage, so I might have a little bit of extra time here, 1 or 2 minutes. Can I search for this in the essay? Yes, it's easy to search for because it's quite unique, especially with this hyphenation. So my eye should be able to catch the word unsee very quickly in the passage. So let's see if I can quickly catch that word unsee. I'm just showing you a little bit of extra strategy here that can work. Now I do remember that it wasn't in the beginning, so I'm looking for unsee. It's a little bit trickier for me because I'm navigating a touch screen, so bear with me. Okay, I don't see it there. So let me just keep going. Okay, I remember it was more near the middle or the end. Okay, so I don't see it there. Ah, there it is. Look at that. You can catch it very quickly. It's unsee right there. So something like this, when you have a unique date or a unique word or a name, you can find that quite fast in the paragraph. So if you have some time, don't be shy, double check your answer. Even if you think you have the correct answer, you can still check to make sure that you have it. And in this case, we want to definitely look at it. So let's read the sentence before and the sentence where we see it. So the brain's visual machinery is not subject to the logic of the rest of the brain. No matter how hard a person tries to unsee the mirage, it will always be there. Okay? Unsee means cannot reverse seeing it. So if we saw it once, it will always stay that way. So the brain's visual machinery is not subject to the logic of the rest of the brain. No matter how hard a person tries to unsee the image, it will always be there. I now am confident that I can choose the correct answer. Number 40. Logic demands that we cannot see it. Human vision is not logical. The brain's visual machinery is incapable of changing. The brain is overly complex and unadaptable. Yeah, I would probably go with B, okay? So B is most likely the correct answer. Now, if we want to double check these, again, the tests are coming from aehelp.com. So this is the academic test, test book 2, aehelp.com. So you can find the answer key somewhere near the back of the book. I believe that we will find this one somewhere around 150 or 60. Okay, yeah, here we go. So in the back of your book on page 147, if you have our test book, what we do is we include the transcripts for the answers. So we'll look at the answer key in a second, but if you want to make sure that you're doing these steps correctly and you're finding the correct answers, go to the back of the book. You'll see the passage again. It's in a little bit of a different format. And then what happens here is it gives you where these answers are coming from. So it shows you that here, mirages are optical illusions caused by atmospheric conditions, which play tricks on the brain's visual system, is the answer section for 32. So that's why we know that the answer is atmospheric conditions for that one. Now I remember that I wasn't sure about one of the answers there. So let's see if I can see where, I believe it was number 35, 34. Okay, so I can see that this is where 34 is coming from. I can see that this is where 38 is coming from. And I seem to have forgotten which one I wasn't sure about. But let's look at number 40. Yeah, okay, so it was 35, I believe. It is because the brain without consciously thinking makes the best inference it can. The average person in their catalog of experiences does not have a real mirage. So that's where the answer is coming from. That's where I should look for those ones. And for number 40, it should be coming from the end. And then you should see the answer key so that you can check your answers, make sure that they're correct. And those will be at the very end. Let's just look at those just to be sure that we haven't made too many goofy mistakes. And if you're getting, like let's say 12 out of 14 or 13 out of 14, that's great. Let's look at the answers. If I'm still not sure, this is for the listening. We're looking for the reading. Here we go, the reading section, and this is the last passage. So here are the answers for the list of headings, and I believe those were all correct. So it was 9, 5, 7, 2, and 4. Those were all correct. Okay, here are fill in the blanks. It's atmospheric conditions, heat, reflection, and inference. Okay, so 33. Temperature gradient they might take, temperature they will take, but any of those answers will be correct. So we got that one correct. This one, if we said temperature gradients, maybe not. Reflection was correct. Inference was good. I believe we said reference instead of inference. Some of you said inference, and that was correct. The answers here were B, A, and then it was D, and it was B. So we got those ones correct. Okay? All right. Now, if I want to make sure that I understand for future how to get this one right, if I know that the answer is inference, I can again go back to those transcripts. So this is for those students who have the materials. I now know that the correct answer is inference. I can go back to those transcripts and I can look at where that word is in the passage and then figure out what went wrong. Okay? So the reason we include these transcripts and these answer keys for you is, of course, so that you can learn where you're making mistakes and what the information is that you're not clearly understanding. Okay? So for question 35, here it says, it is because the brain without conscious thinking makes the best inference it can. So this is where the word inference is, and that's where I should have gotten that answer from, in paragraph E. Okay, so I was in the right paragraph, I just couldn't find the right answer. All right, so that's what you do, that's how you do it. Again, list of headings question, it's really important that you do well on that. And that is the class for today with this academic reading. Please make sure to practice these strategies at home. As you can see, they definitely do need practice. It's not something that you can just look at once in a live stream like this and expect to know. You are very welcome, Lytton. You are very welcome, Raya. Yes, you're right, Alien Eater, that your assumption could be correct, but if you have the chance to make sure that you have the right answer, it's definitely better. Please do go to aehelp.com, check out the free materials for IELTS there, as well as joining the full course to get access to all of those wonderful videos, 6 practice exams, and a fully interactive course with all of the big strategies and question-specific strategies. Okay. Safa's asking in fill-in-the-blanks questions, can we put the same word that's in the paragraph? Yeah, absolutely. You can. All right, guys and girls, thank you so much for watching today's lesson. I hope you found that valuable. I hope you found it good practice. Again, use Super Chat. Join us on our websites. Use the coupon code LIVE20. Tomorrow, we have our last class for this week. There will be 2 of them, one at noon, one at 3 p.m. Central European time, Budapest time. Yes, tomorrow, the 2 lessons that I will get into. One is task 2, writing, essay writing. I'll have a new question for you with some explanations and strategies. And then for the second lesson, we'll get into a little bit of listening practice. So much love to everybody. Congratulations on those students who did a good job on your previous exams. I know there were a couple of you today that you said that you got some good scores, so that was great. Have an awesome rest of your day, good evening, and a great night if it is late where you are at. Have some good dreams. Stay positive, work hard, you'll reach your dreams. Bye for now.